Hello there, my name's Brandon and I make pictures out of tiny squares. And I'm working on an RPG called Petal Runner. You play as a motorcycle courier. And one of the details about our main characters, Cali and Kira, is that they have a favorite television show, and it's a series that's called the Scarved Rider, which you'll find actually kind of playing on loop within their home. We imagine the series to be kind of a campy, over-the-top live-action show, along the lines of any number of Tokusatsu-type series, most notably probably something like Kamen Rider, where the motorcycle is a key part of this hero's identity. I'm personally such a fan of these sorts of shows, and just the aesthetic of the hero designs is always so cool, and I like it as a fun character detail that also fleshes out the pop culture of the world of Petal Runner. So one of the things I'm working on this week is coming up with the design for the Scarved Rider, which is going to require both a dialogue portrait and an overworld sprite, and once we have those, we'll be able to start creating scene work that could feature this character. To get started, I've copied over that portrait of Benny in his motorcycle helmet, and I'm just going to paint over that. Benny is Callie's classmate in the program. He's kind of the obnoxious rival, and as part of that, he's really braggadocious, and he's kind of kitted out in sportier gear than Callie. He's got a better bike than Callie, that sort of stuff. So his helmeted portrait actually provides a really nice starting point for the Scarved Rider design, where the intent is to also have, kind of a cool, sporty hero look to it. Not only that, but we're also designing these portraits to fit within a space of 40 by 48 pixels. So just in general, I find it to be way more efficient to grab another character from the game and modify their features to make any new ones. And that way there's at least some consistency as far as like the sizing and the proportions of what's already there. Now, as far as the design itself, Danny and I had been talking about potential themes to play with for this character. Obviously, the only requirement is that they've got a scarf and that they ride a motorcycle. So as long as we hit those 2 bullet points, we've pretty much accomplished anything we needed to set out to for what this character has to fulfill. But beyond that, there's always an opportunity to think about the character details that might just enhance or reinforce those basic elements. So we were thinking about how a scarf alone could indicate anything. And one of the ideas that came up was just that, on a functional level, scarves at least keep you warm in cold weather, right? Breaking news. So what if we took that and just did like a slight, winter or winter sports theme to the character design? So the scarf actually ends up kind of making sense as part of their outfit. Maybe they could also have an arsenal of ski poles and hockey sticks as weapons, or things that, look like those things but are actually gadgets in disguise. And it all started to sound like a fun character theme to explore. So I drew up this rough sketch, and this is what I've been referencing up until about this point of the pixel art version. So the idea is to have these big reflective ski goggles, and for the helmet I'm trying to do like a hockey helmet that also has these racing stripe paneling details to it. One of my favorite details in the metal type Tokusatsu heroes, or in Power Ranger designs, is when their helmets have kind of like that metal panel with the mouth sculpted onto it, which I think is just a cool look, but it also retains a good amount of recognition as a face while still concealing their identity. Certainly in this design, the scarf could be used as a means of covering the face as well, but I think the added touch of humanity that you get from seeing the mouth, albeit one that's sculpted on, is useful just in terms of connecting with this hero in a positive way. Now, that being said, I feel like at this point they're still looking a bit too much like a basic kind of snowboarder or ski instructor kind of design. So the finishing details here are really going to be about finding things that elevate this into more of a superhero look. And I think one of the things holding it back right now is just how the jacket is closed up like that. It's also kind of interfering with the placement of the scarf. So I'm going to revise that bit to have the jacket open, which is, I guess, a black suit underneath. And then this also allows for the scarf to have better readability against the body. You can see as well I've added these white cuffs on the arms, and I was thinking these would be the tops of the gloves, just kind of poking into frame. It could also be interpreted as being like rolled up sleeves on the jacket. Both of those actually sound like pretty good options to me, but I've detailed them with a checkerboard pattern. And then the finishing touch for the whole thing was to add an emblem onto the front of his helmet, which I've just made this like simple stylized S in the same color as the scarf. And it feels like just having that emblem right there front and center really ties together this whole superhero look. One of the things I like to do after finishing a new portrait for the game is just to see how they look sitting with the entire rest of the cast. And this is kind of a selection of that file that I used to do that. Each new portrait, it sort of adds or informs something about the rules of stylization that are always evolving as I'm creating new art for the game. And I think just with the nature of what the Scarved Rider is, it's filling a very particular niche in the selection of character designs from the game, and I'm quite happy about that. And I'm sorry so many of these are covered up. We still got a lot of fun things that we want to reveal in the future. This is really an unfair tease, though. You know what? Why don't we actually just take a look at one more character portrait right now? This one here. This is a portrait of a doctor character, and we actually saw him in the animated portion of our reveal trailer. He looked a little suspicious in the trailer. This portrait looks kind of friendly. Still, I'm not really sure we should trust this guy, but we'll kind of see how this all shakes out eventually. For now, though, we've still got to make an overworld sprite design for the Scarved Rider. And in our game, the sprites are generally around 16 pixels tall, give or take a few. So in designing these sprites, it's often about identifying key character features that you want to express and figuring out, small scale abstractions of those features at this scale. So for instance, the doctor we were just talking about, one of his main features is that he's got that unique spiky sort of hairstyle. And that works really well to give the sprite an identifying feature and silhouette at the small scale, where the rest of it really is just a basic color blocking of his outfit, but you can still tell him apart from the others because of his unique head shape. So for the Scarved Rider, to get started, I'm taking this basic character template from Cali, but I'm going to add a couple extra pixels of height to it. I think we'll really appreciate having some extra room for the helmet and the scarf. And as far as the key details to focus on, obviously the helmet is going to play a huge part in the recognizability here. And I'm thinking that actually the specific combo of the racing stripes, the blue glasses, and then the yellow scarf, that should get us in a pretty good spot to hit enough of the character notes that you'd be able to make that connection between this design and the portrait design. And one of the things that the tiny overworld sprite actually offers that the portrait doesn't is that we get a little bit more information about what the rest of his costume might be. So I'm taking that opportunity to make it clear that he's got a full-length overcoat or like a trench coat. And then there's also some white boots as well to match the gloves. As a finishing detail, I've made a 3-frame animation of the scarf kind of flowing in the breeze, which definitely just helps draw attention to that iconic element of the character. Now, the other thing that they're missing still is a motorcycle design. So for that, I'm going to bring in some references of the other bikes that we have in the game. And once again, because Benny's got a really sporty look, I think his bike is going to be a great basis for the Scarved Riders. But we'll obviously go ahead and make a few adjustments just to make it feel unique to this character. One of the details I want to have in here is like a little panel along the side that I'm imagining to be where a set of skis could pop out and like convert the bike into a snowmobile. Mechanically, I don't know how practical that really is, but practicality is not really the focus of sort of a series like this. So I think it adds just the right amount of style points and kind of character theme points that it needs to. So bringing everything together, we've got a great start at imagining more clearly who the Scarved Rider is now. And we're excited to incorporate them into some fun scene work for the game, but we'll close off with some CRT time. And I hope you enjoyed seeing this come together. And thank you for watching, and take care and keep it square.